How do you talk about sex drive differences with your partner? Okay, so this is a question that someone had. I'm just fielding this question, but it's also a really good question about how do you do this? So, obviously, this can only be a general response. Everybody's situation is different. And think about those differences. Think about the differences maybe in your relationship and how the two of you, do things, because that's important in figuring out what's the best way for you two to talk about this. So it's like, how do we bring this up? How does this topic even get brought up? As I always say, don't do this when you're intimate. So you don't, when you're vulnerable, you're naked, whatever, whether it's right before or right after, or even if it's at a time when you usually do have sex, don't do it then. Create a safe, non-judging space to have this conversation. Again, I sometimes say when you're doing other things, maybe you're driving somewhere, when you're engaged in something else, have this conversation. This conversation could be the conversation you need to have that sort of connects and maybe encapsulates, connects to and maybe encapsulates a bunch of different things in your relationship. So this could be massively powerful for your relationship. It could be massively powerful for you as an individual. So find that great time. Figure out kind of how you talk about things. I mean, do you ever talk about sex? How does that go? Is it only in jokes or in sort of a passive way you talk about it? But what is your style of communicating with your partner? Um, Once you figure that out, whether it's when you first have this conversation or not, make talking about sex sort of a routine thing, a normal thing that you both do. You normalize talking about talking about sex, physical intimacy, what you both want, need, etc. So, um, when you do have these important discussions, uh, phrase things in a way that are a win for them. Like, what do they get out of this? Because sometimes it's that whole, we need to talk, right? Oh, we need to talk. It can deer in headlights, shock people, and all of a sudden their mind is blank, and that's the last thing they want to do, especially if it's like, we need to talk tonight, and the whole day is ruined for them because that's all they're thinking about. So phrase it in a way that it's a win for them. What's the good thing they get out of it? So if you're the partner that has a high sex drive and you're talking to the low sex drive partner, other than getting them freaked out, what do they get out of it? And vice versa. What does the other partner get out of it? So, how will they benefit? Look at your relationship, figure out the best way that you two communicate things and the best way that you can communicate this. And like I say, make this a habit to talk about sex life, and intimacy.